The old bustling streets of Lahore were Ali's entire world. A young college student, his life was a simple rhythm of classes, cricket with his best friend Omar, and quiet evenings at home with his loving mom and dad. His heart, however, held a special place for Salma, a girl in his class whose smile could light up the entire campus. But Ali's simple world was about to be torn apart by a love that was not human. It started subtly. A faint scent of jasmine outside his house at midnight. The window was open. A soft whisper of his name on the wind when no one was around. Ali dismissed it as his imagination. One night he was studying when he felt a sudden chill. He looked up. Standing in the corner of his room, just for a second, was a woman of breathtaking beauty. She had eyes like dark pools of honey and hair that flowed like a black river. She wore a shimmering dress that seemed woven from moonlight. Then as quickly as she appeared, she was gone. Ali's heart hammered against his ribs. He tried to tell Omar about it the next day. "Bro, you won't believe what I saw." Ali started, his voice trembling slightly. "What? Did Salma finally talk to you?" Omar asked with a grin. "No, man, it was a woman. In my room. She was just there, and then she vanished." Omar laughed. "You're just tired from studying too much. You're dreaming about a beautiful woman. The only woman you should be thinking about is Salma." Ali tried to laugh it off, but the visitations became more frequent. The beautiful woman from his room began to appear in his dreams. In these dreams, she would hold his hand and tell him, in a voice as sweet as nectar, "You are mine, Ali, only mine." He would wake up in a cold sweat, the scent of jasmine thick in the air. He grew pale and withdrawn. His mother noticed he was barely eating. "Ali, my son, what's wrong?" she would ask, her voice laced with worry. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Ali didn't know how to explain that what he was seeing was far more terrifying than a ghost. His obsession with Salma became a source of terror. One day he gathered all his courage and walked over to her in the college library. "Salma," he began, "I was wondering if you—" He never got to finish. A heavy book from the top shelf suddenly flew off and crashed onto the table between them, making both of them jump. Salma stared at him, scared, and quickly walked away. Ali felt a cold presence beside him and a possessive whisper in his ear. "I told you, you are mine." The possession grew stronger. Ali would lose chunks of time, finding himself in different places with no memory of how he got there. One evening, his father found him staring at his own reflection in the mirror. "Ali," his father said gently. Ali turned, but his face was twisted in an unfamiliar sneer. A voice, melodic but filled with venom, came from his lips. "He belongs to me now." His father froze in horror. It was Ali's mouth, but it wasn't his son's voice. That was the last straw for his mother. Weeping, she said, "We must take him to the alim. Now." The alim was a wise old man whose small room was filled with religious books. He took one long look at Ali's haunted eyes and nodded gravely. "Your son is not alone," he told Ali's parents. "A jinn has latched on to him. She has become obsessed and has possessed his body." He sat Ali down on a mat on the floor. "Do not be afraid, my son," the alim said in a calm, powerful voice. "The word of Allah is greater than any creature from the unseen." The alim placed a hand on Ali's head and began to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. The room instantly grew cold. Ali began to tremble. "Stop!" he whimpered. The alim ignored him and continued, his voice growing louder as he recited the powerful verses of Ayat al-Kursi from the Quran. Suddenly, Ali's body went rigid. He arched his back and a horrifying, inhuman shriek ripped from his throat. It was the beautiful Jinn's voice, now a monstrous scream of rage. "He is mine! I love him! Leave us alone!" The voice bellowed from Ali's mouth. His head thrashed from side to side, his eyes rolling back until only the whites were visible. His parents cried out in fear, But the alim was unwavering. He continued to recite the final surahs of the Quran, his voice echoing with divine authority. The air in the room crackled with energy. The lights flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. Through the blackness, the alim's recitation was a beacon. The jinn shrieked again and again, a sound of agony and fury as the holy words burned her. "I will not leave him," she screamed. "You will," the alim commanded. "By the will of Allah, you will leave this boy." With one final ear-splitting scream that seemed to shake the very foundations of the house, a gust of wind erupted from Ali, slamming the door open. A shadow seemed to fly out into the night, and then silence. Ali collapsed onto the mat, limp and unconscious. When he finally woke up, he was weak and confused, but the oppressive, terrifying presence was gone. The scent of jasmine had vanished. He was himself again. Life slowly returned to normal, but Ali was never the same. He carried the terrifying memory of the beautiful Jinn and her possessive love with him always, a chilling reminder that we are not alone in this world. Sometimes, late at night, he still thinks he can smell the faint of jasmine, and he quickly begins to pray.